Hello guys and girls, it has been so long since I've been able to bring you all a video like this. I'm beyond thankful to be able to be back talking to you guys. It has been so long and I'm so sorry for that. I've been extremely busy and I've just recently had shoulder surgery, so I've been down for a little while with that now. However, I am looking to get back into the groove of finding some content to be able to put out to you guys. I've been trying to live stream more on Twitch and I've been pretty active in my Discord server. If you guys want to check out them other platforms, I really suggest that. I'm more active on them than anything else. Links will be in the descriptions down below. But you guys can guess by today's title, we're going to be discussing the tips that you all need to know if you all ever have to call 911. Now, hopefully, you don't ever have to call 911, but in case you ever do. And for those of you all who don't know, I was a 911 dispatcher for my local 911 center for about 4 months, so I'm not just some random guy out here preaching facts and stuff. I do know a little bit of what I'm talking about, but not a whole lot. Don't let me lead you on. And however, I thought that this would be an appropriate gameplay in the background of 911 operator for this video, so enjoy that while I sit here and talk to you guys. So during my training process of when I was becoming a dispatcher, it was beaten in my head time and time again that I need to be able to obtain the four W's. And the four W's are where, what, when, who, and sometimes weapons depending on the call. Obviously, the weapons question would be pertaining to in progress questions such as fights, domestics, unknown problems, etc. However, the most important one that you can get out of any of that is where. Where is there an emergency happening? Where is there a reason why somebody somewhere is calling 911? Now, there is obviously always that chance that you might not know where you are, and that is very, very frequent. A lot of people will be traveling down a certain mile marker, and then they'll hit a deer, and they'll have no idea what area they are. They might be able to tell me that they're northbound or southbound in between certain mile markers, but 10 miles of a mile marker can be a big difference in law enforcement jurisdictions, what agency I need to send, or even maybe fire departments if someone's injured. So we have tracking software that we use as dispatchers. We have a couple different forms of it. We can ping off cell phone towers, and we have a third-party monitoring app I'm not going to disclose of that we use. However, that information that we obtain is not always accurate. It's always, it could be a hit or it could be a miss. Sometimes it could be really close, sometimes it could be very far away. So if you can always just have a general idea of where you are, more often than not, the first responders are going to be able to locate you. So my next tip I have for you guys is if you guys ever accidentally called 911, do not hang up the line. And the reason why you shouldn't hang up the line is because even though you think the call might have ended, you might disconnect, someone somewhere is trying to get to this 911 call that is ringing in their center, and the call does not stop ringing until someone picks it up, and then when the dispatcher picks it up, it's just dead space, and there's nobody on the other end of the line that, it indicates that somebody disconnected. So then the 911 dispatcher has to take time, call the person back, and now they're taking time away from someone else who might be calling in with a true emergency because you accidentally hung up. So some people might be like, oh, well, I might have a SWAT team show at my house or something. No, that's not the case. So if we get a 911 hang up call and we don't make contact back after so many times of trying to, and we have a location of where the number came from or where the phone call originated from, and we can get an address, we will send the fire department, EMS, and law enforcement to the house because then it's an unknown problem. It's a 911 ham call. We don't know what's going on. But if we make contact with somebody and they're like, oh no, it was an accident, or my kid was playing with the phone or something, just as long as there's no actual emergency going on, there's nothing wrong with saying that, and we won't send anybody to your house. However, there are times where we might get a vibe of something that we don't like, there's like a certain call history of that residence, or the phone number has a certain history of calling in certain calls, such as like domestics or unknown problems. We might have an officer swing by in the area and check it out to make sure everything's okay. But the world will not end if you accidentally call 911, I promise. It happens all the time. In fact, like a quarter of 911 calls are accidental 911 calls. So another good little tip I have for you guys here is if you guys have to take a second to calm down, get all your collective thoughts together before you call 911, then do so. You cannot understand a extremely hysterical 911 caller. No, I don't care what anybody says, nobody can. You might be able to get bits and pieces out of it, but if it's not a life or death immediate situation, if it's already over, something's already happened, take a second to cool down, collect your thoughts, take a breather, and then try to call 911. because then the dispatcher is going to be able to understand you more. You're going to be able to think clearer. You're going to be able to give them more of the story. You're going to be answering their questions a lot better. And it's just overall better for everybody in the long run. So another tip I have for you guys is if the dispatcher seems like that he or she is constantly repeating questions, you have to give them time and let them ask the questions in their order. Sometimes their call cards will be set up in a certain way of where they obtain their information, they gather it a certain way. And then sometimes they want to see if you're actually telling the truth, especially if it's more of an in progress call, like an assault and battery had already occurred. They might ask you, who was the problem party a couple different times. But sometimes, there is obviously always the chance that there's 30 different things going on the other side of the screen that you don't see. And, you ask a question, you turn around, someone else says something to you, and then you completely forgot what your caller said, and you have to say, I'm sorry, ma'am, you said the age is 25, and then the caller's like, no, it's 35. So it happens all the time. You just have to be very patient with the dispatcher because obviously, it is a multitasking situation that is always going on in the facility. So with especially where I worked, we had to deal with the caller, the radio traffic, and obtaining the information all at once. So just because it seems like that I'm taking breaks and pauses, I'm telling the people who are on the other line of the radio frequency, the first responders, stuff that's going on while I'm still listening to you in the background, taking the information and notating what I feel like is necessary. So another big misconception in not the 911 service that isn't really a tip for the public. It's just something that a lot of people don't realize what's going on. Just because I'm still on the phone with you, it doesn't mean that the dispatchers start dispatching the agencies to your location after the call is completed. It's as soon as I start obtaining the information and I have enough to dispatch the call. So this is really big in like EMS because all you really need is three things to dispatch an EMS call. You need the address, patient age, and chief complaint. And then by the time it takes them to mark and route, then you can give them any other information that you might feel is necessary. And that's what the callers don't understand. You'll be like, oh man, come on, I just need an ambulance. I'm having difficulty breathing. Just get an ambulance here. Just get an ambulance here. Well, what you don't know is the ambulance has been dispatched for 30 seconds now. We're now waiting for the ambulance crew to mark and route. So, not really a tip, but just a little bit of a misconception that people don't realize that goes on in the background because obviously there's more than one person working in that facility, and the ball once the 911 button gets clicked, the ball automatically starts rolling the process. So, guys, another tip I have for you guys is tell the freaking truth. Don't sit here, beat around the bush, and be like, well, he's now bleeding because we don't know why. Well, why is he bleeding? Why is Billy Bob bleeding? Was Billy Bob shot? Was Billy Bob riding a bike? Why is Billy Bob bleeding? Well, we don't know. Okay, well, we're gonna figure it out why he's bleeding when they get there. So, don't be afraid to tell the truth, because obviously we're gonna find out. Obviously, it might be something that you might be able to laugh about later, but obviously, if you're calling 911 for an emergency because of something, then you need to be willing to be able to disclose all the information to the dispatcher, even though it might sound completely stupid, which there's the possibility it might be stupid of the events leading up to, but at the time it's very important information. We know if Billy Bob either fell off his bike because, he's had too many beers, or Billy Bob got shot by a rocket because it's the 4th of July. So it's just very good information that we need to know that you cannot withhold. So don't ever be. But guys and girls, this concludes the tips I have for you guys today. Hopefully you all don't ever have to call 911, but in case if you ever do, then this might be a good stepping stone in the process of getting you help faster. So if you found any of these tips useful, or if you have any other suggestions or tips that you might like to include down in the comment section down below, by all means, I read all the comments you all leave on YouTube. Go down there and post them. If you have any other video suggestions that you might want to see in regards to 911, I might be able to post them. There's just some stuff that I can and can't post pertaining, how my job worked and whatnot. But guys, I'm about to start live streaming a lot more on Twitch, so be sure you go follow me on Twitch. I'm going to be getting better internet in this new house that I'm moving into soon after I get all healed up from my shoulder surgery, so I'm really excited about that. And if you guys have a Discord account, by all means come jump in and interact with me and some other fans on my Discord channel. All the links for all that can be found down below in the description. But guys, thank you all so much. Be looking and getting back into this soon. I'll be catching you guys later.
All right, please press the button once if you're in a hostage situation and can't talk. Press twice if you're in a medical condition and you can't speak.